get started. The Jungle Book. You guys ever, if you guys read this book?
Okay, wait. We have. I know the Jungle Book.
You do? Okay. The Jungle Book.
We watched the movie, except like the real person movie, not like the cartoon. Yeah.
Turn my camera a little bit so you can see the book better.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
This is the story of Mowgli, the man cub, who grew up in the jungle. He had many friends. The wolf family who raised him from a baby, Baloo, the happy-go-lucky bear who showed Mowgli how to enjoy life, the vultures who befriended him, and Bagheera the panther who protected him. But the jungle was a dangerous place, and Mowgli had many enemies. There was Kaa, the python, who could hypnotize you just by looking into your eyes and would have liked to make a meal of the man cub. But Mowgli's greatest enemy by far was the fierce tiger, Shere Khan. He hated all men, and secretly he would destroy the man cub before he could grow up.
But where's the tiger?
They'll show him in a minute, probably.
The panther. Oh. The panther, not tiger.
The story began long ago when Bagheera the panther first heard a strange sound coming from a little broken boat that had washed up on the river's edge. It was the sound of a baby crying. Bagheera looked into the boat and saw a man cub in a basket. He had known how deeply he was to become. Had he known how deeply he was to become involved, he might have obeyed his first impulse and walked away.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Instead, Bagheera picked up the basket and considered what to do with the baby. The man cub would need nourishment, and soon. Then the panther remembered a family of wolves that had been recently blessed with a litter of cubs. He left the man cub basket at the entrance of a wolf den and then left them to do the rest. A little wolf cub discovered the basket first and sniffed at the little stranger, saying, "What kind of cub is this?" The baby boy stopped crying and smiled. Then the mother wolf came close and sniffed him. He smiled again, and that's how Mowgli found a family.
I like this book. I like this book. So cute.
10 times the rain had come and gone, and Bagheera often stopped by the wolf family's den to see how Mowgli was getting along. He was a favorite of all the wolf cubs. They grew and played together, and no son of man was ever happier. And yet someday he would have to go back to his own kind. One day, Shere Khan the tiger learned about Mowgli, a man cub living in the jungle with a pack of wolves. He growled to himself, "He may be harmless now, but he'll soon be a grown man." Because Shere Khan hated all men, he decided to make sure that Mowgli would never grow up and learn to hunt. He started off in search of Mowgli and the wolf pack.
Oh, there's a tiger.
There's a tiger.
I really like this book.
When the wolf pack learned that Shere Khan was looking for them, the elders called a meeting at Council Rock. The leader, Akela, was the first to speak. Shere Khan will surely kill the boy and all who try to protect him. The boy can no longer stay with the pack. But Mowgli can't survive in the jungle alone, protested Rama, the man cub's wolf father. Bagheera knew that Rama was right. Now it was up to him. He jumped down from a limb into the center of the gathering. "Perhaps I can help," he said to the startled pack. "I know a man village where he'll be safe. I'll take him there myself." And so it was decided. Mowgli was to leave for the man village with Bagheera at once.
Oh. Okay.
The panther tried to explain to Mowgli what had been decided and that they had to leave. There was no time to lose. No, I won't go, Mowgli sobbed. I want to stay here with my mother and father. I don't see why I should go to a man village. I want to live here in the jungle. It's my home. Bagheera explained to him that the wolves still loved him, but because Shere Khan was hunting for him, everything had changed.
What?
Mowgli held tight to a tree trunk while Bagheera struggled to pull him away. Finally, he let go, and an unhappy man cub and a long-suffering panther were on their way. Save your questions till the end, Kiera.
Okay.
All right, now what was your question? I'm done the page. What was your question?
Which one was this? Which one was just there with his family?
Because Shere Khan the tiger would hurt him. He has to go back and live with people where he's safe.
Oh, so he was a little boy.
Yeah. Mowgli rode silently on Bagheera's back, and they went swiftly through the jungle. He was so quiet that Bagheera finally asked him, "Are you sulking?" "No, not sulking. Just thinking," Mowgli replied. "And I'm not scared of Shere Khan." "Perhaps you aren't," Bagheera answered, "but you should be. He's a dangerous enemy." Night was falling when Bagheera finally stopped in front of a big tree and helped Mowgli climb up into a high branch. He was very tired and didn't argue. He snuggled up against Bagheera, and they both fell fast asleep.
Is that the way?
Yes,
the cartoon. I'm starting to see that the cartoon one is like kind of like a different movie. It's kind of like a different movie of the Jungle Book than the human.
Yeah. But they were not alone. Kaa, the snake, was hiding in the same tree. "Is that a man cub I see?" he hissed, pushing his head down into the leaves. Mowgli woke up to find himself face to face with the snake, looking into two big, round, yellow eyes that were staring right at him. "Go away, snake!" he shouted, staring right back into Kaa's eyes. Just what he shouldn't have done. "I don't trust you," Mowgli said, beginning to get dizzy. "You can trust me," hissed Kaa. "I'm your friend." He continued to stare right into Mowgli's eyes, and then the man cub couldn't look away. He was under Kaa's spell.
I do not like those eyes. They're way scary.
Kaa wrapped his long tail around Mowgli. Still, Mowgli couldn't take his eyes off Kaa. Now he was helpless and couldn't move.
What happened to that
He
boy?
hypnotized him. "Now I have you. Now I have you. What a good supper," said Kaa, opening his big jaws. Luckily, his speech awakened Bagheera. Seeing Kaa's open mouth heading for Mowgli made him furious. He aimed a powerful blow right at the snake's jaw. Whack! The stunned snake fell to the ground with a thud and slithered away. "I hope that will teach you a lesson," Bagheera grumbled after him. Then he turned to Mowgli and said, "Tonight Kaa tried to get you. Tomorrow it may be Shere Khan. You're not safe in the jungle anymore. You must go to the man village." Mowgli was silent.
Just need to get my breath.
That morning, the two were awakened by a terrible, thundering, crashing noise. "Keep it up!" Hop, 2, 3, 4. A deep voice bellowed. Trees and branches crashed and the jungle shook. Oh no, Bagheera groaned. It's Hattie's dawn patrol. Mowgli grabbed a vine and swung down to the ground for a closer look as a huge troop of elephants marched by. Leading the way was Hattie, a big bull elephant shouting orders. The rest of the elephants followed in a line, trumpeting military march.
Oh. I will be right back again. I'm just going to get my other boy. You know.
The whole troop stamped along the path in front of Mowgli, then turned and marched another way. This time Mowgli turned with them and fell in line behind a baby elephant. Hello, Mowgli said. What are you doing? Drilling, answered the little elephant. Shh! No talking in the ranks. Mowgli followed the troop. He marched on, stopped, turned, and changed direction, all at Colonel Hattie's command. But he forgot to change direction once and found himself face to face with the baby elephant. Go the other way. Turn around, coached his friend. Mowgli turned and started off in the other direction. This was great fun. They marched and turned, then they turned and marched. Mowgli followed all of Colonel Hattie's orders. Living with an elephant herder would be a lot better than staying in the man village, thought Mowgli.
Ooh.
But just when he had the knack of military drilling, Colonel Hattie called for a stop. Ho! Company, halt! He bellowed. The line of elephants came to an abrupt stop, one on top of the other. I'm putting in for a transfer, said an elephant called Winifred. My feet are killing me. Silence in the ranks, burned Colonel Hattie. They got in a jam. You see that?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
What kind of elephant are you? He shouted. Dress up that line. All the elephants tried to stand as tall as they could in a straight line. The colonel looked them over. Then he called for an inspection. What's an inspection? Asked Mowgli. You'll see, said the baby elephant. Mowgli watched all the elephants as they stuck their trunks up in the air and stood at attention. The baby elephant stuck his trunk up too. Stick your trunk up, he whispered to Mowgli. Mowgli pointed his nose in the air. Like this? He asked. That's right, said his friend.
Oh. Oh.
The colonel started down the line of elephants with their trunks pointed to the sky, like trumpets. When he came to Winifred, he looked down on her trunk. What's this, a dirty muzzle? That trunk could save your life. You'd better take care of it, he scolded. He continued down the line, inspecting trunks. Mowgli stood very straight and tall, trying to make up for not having a trunk. When Colonel Hattie got to the little elephant, he looked down and said, Keep those heels together, shall we, son? Right, Pop, answered the baby.
Oh. Wait. Look at that baby elephant. He's flying now.
Wow, snorted Colonel Hattie when he looked down at Mowgli. What have we here? A new recruit? Before Mowgli knew it, he was eye to eye with the big elephant, who was holding him up for close inspection. Why, it's a man cub, he gasped. And what, may I ask, are you doing here? There'll be no man cubs in my jungle. It's not your jungle, Mowgli blurted out. He was furious and ready to make trouble. Bagheera quickly intervened. Hold it, he said. I can explain. I'm taking the man cub to the man village. To stay? Asked Colonel Hattie. Yes, Bagheera said. You have the word of Bagheera. And with that, the colonel released Mowgli, and they were on their way again.
There's a package over there. Right there on that chair.
Bagheera, scolded Mowgli. You were lucky I arrived when I did, said the panther. I would have managed. I can take care of myself, Mowgli replied. That's what you think, Bagheera said. You have friends in the jungle, but you also have many enemies. Mowgli was tired of listening to the panther remind him of the dangers. So Bagheera let him stop off to be himself for a bit. That proved to be a big mistake. For a while, Mowgli was moping around. A big, happy bear happened by. It was Baloo. Mowgli and Baloo quickly became friends. Stick with me, kid. I'll teach you how to survive the jungle, said Baloo after hearing Mowgli's stories. You won't have to go to the man village. The first thing Baloo taught Mowgli was how to growl like a bear.
Ooh.
Then Baloo taught Mowgli how to walk like a bear. He even showed him how to scratch like a bear. How am I doing? Asked Mowgli. You'll make a great bear, said Baloo. Mowgli climbed up onto his back and said, I like traveling with you much better than with Bagheera. He's always telling me what to do. Baloo's next lesson on living in the jungle was how to find food. Both of them were hungry. There's lots to eat in the jungle, Coach Baloo. You just need to know where to find it. He showed Mowgli how to pick fruit off a prickly plant without getting stuck by the spines. They tasted good, too. Then he showed Mowgli how to get honey from the bees and bananas from the trees. I'll teach you everything I know about living in the jungle, said Baloo. It's not so hard once you know how to find the bare necessities. After a good meal, Baloo and Mowgli sang and danced through the jungle. They turned, jumped, and spun around. Mowgli was very happy he'd met Baloo. He was sure he could learn to survive on his own once Baloo showed him how.
Oh.
They sat down together to catch their breath. A few minutes later, Baloo added, What about a boxing match? Great, said Mowgli. He punched Baloo as hard as he could. Stop, protested Baloo, pretending to be hurt. You win. You see, Mowgli said, I can take care of myself. Sure you can, little britches, grinned Baloo. You're going to make a great bear. He hoisted Mowgli onto his shoulders, and he started down the path. Not so fast, Bagheera said. I'm taking that man cub to the man village. You can't take him to the man village, Baloo protested. They'll make a man out of him. I want to stay here with you, wailed Mowgli, holding on to Baloo. Nonsense, Bagheera said. He jumped onto a tree limb so he could look Baloo in the eye. Shere Khan is nearby, looking for Mowgli. The man cub must come with me now. Baloo gave the panther's tail a yank. He's coming with me, he growled. Oh, very well, I give up. Hope your luck holds out, Bagheera called as they continued down the forest path towards the river. When they came to the river, Baloo jumped in and floated along on his back, with Mowgli riding on top of his big stomach. I want to stay with you forever, said Mowgli. You can, little britches, said Baloo. I'll take good care of you, too. Up in the trees along the river bank, the monkeys were chattering, but Mowgli and Baloo didn't notice. Baloo closed his eyes and started to sing. After Baloo finished his song, he opened his eyes, only to find a monkey sitting on his chest instead of Mowgli. Where's Little Britches? He cried. When he looked up and saw that the monkeys had taken Mowgli and were holding him by the feet. Hey, let go of me, called Mowgli as they dangled him overhead. Baloo struggled upright in the water and shook his fist at the monkeys. Give me back my man cub, he yelled. The monkeys laughed and chattered. This made Baloo even madder. Then they dangled Mowgli down next to Baloo, just out of reach. Baloo made a mad swipe, trying to grab Mowgli away, but the monkeys were too fast. They pulled the man cub away and at the last second, and disappeared in the trees overhead. Baloo got out of the water and chased the monkeys as they swung from tree to tree, holding tight to their captive. They passed Mowgli back and forth like a ball. Baloo could not do nothing to stop them. While he looked up at the trees and raced to the jungle, two of the monkeys stopped long enough to trip him with a vine. The big bear fell with a thud, and the monkeys bore Mowgli away. There we go.
Oh. But you know what? This is my bunny's favorite story.
Okay. I'm glad your bunny likes it. When Bagheera caught up to Baloo, he said, "Well, it's finally happened. It took a little longer than I thought, but it's finally happened." Baloo looked at him with a sad, dazed look on his face. "What happened?" he said. "Where's Mowgli?" Bagheera told him that he suspected the monkeys had taken Mowgli to their king in an old ruined city, and Bagheera told him that they had to go there at once. For the first time in his life, Baloo listened to him. Bagheera was right. The monkeys had taken Mowgli to their leader, King Louie. King Louie scratched his head and said, "So you're the man cub. Tell me the secret of man's fire." Mowgli insisted he didn't know the secret, but King Louie wouldn't believe him. He picked up Mowgli and swung him around. The other monkeys took turns doing the same until Mowgli began to feel a little dizzy. Soon the whole monkey troop was dancing around the old ruins. While all this was going on, Bagheera was hiding in the bushes, waiting for the best time to jump up and snatch Mowgli away. When everybody started dancing, a big monkey joined the party. The big monkey was really Baloo. He had disguised himself. No one but Mowgli recognized him. Baloo started dancing, and all the monkeys followed him, clapping their hands. King Louie was having a wonderful time. He clapped in rhythm, faster and faster. Suddenly, Baloo's coconut snout fell off, and the monkeys recognized him. "Baloo the bear!" they shouted. Baloo grabbed Mowgli. The king did the same, and they both pulled Mowgli back and forth. Finally, King Louie tightened his grip on the man cub and braced himself against one of the ancient columns until it began to crumble. Then there was a terrible creaking noise as the whole temple began to collapse. The king let go of Mowgli and rushed over to hold up the temple roof. Baloo let go of Mowgli too. Mowgli ran to Bagheera, and Baloo rushed back to hold up the other crumbling pillar. Then a fiendish look crossed his face. Baloo had an idea. He rushed over and started to tickle King Louie. It's not easy to hold a palace on your shoulders when someone's tickling you. King Louie let go of the temple roof just as Baloo ducked out, and the ruin began to sag and crumble around him. Baloo joined Mowgli and Bagheera as they escaped. When Bagheera looked over his shoulder, he could see King Louie shaking his fist at them as he sat among the rocks and debris of the fallen temple. When they reached a safe place to spend the night, Mowgli went right to sleep. Bagheera took the opportunity to talk to Baloo and finally convinced him that the man cub would be better off in the man village. It's up to you now, Bagheera told him. Why me? Said Baloo. Because he won't listen to me. But when Baloo tried to explain all this to Mowgli in the morning, the man cub shouted, You're just like Bagheera! I won't go to the man village with you either! And he ran off into the jungle. When he was sure no one had followed him, he plopped down beneath a tree. Bye, Reese. Bye, sweetie. He plopped down beneath a tree. The next thing he knew, he had been hoisted up on a limb by the tail of the python. Kaa, so nice to see you again, hissed Kaa, bringing Mowgli up close to his face. Leave me alone, snapped Mowgli as he shoved the snake's head away. And besides, I'm not looking into your eyes again. I know what you're trying to do.
Who said that?
Yeah, he wants to eat him, doesn't he, Kiera?
Uh-huh.
Oh, let me look at you, said Kaa. I can help you stay in the jungle forever. You can? Asked Mowgli. I can, said Kaa. Trust me. Just shut your eyes. Mowgli's eyes seemed very heavy, and then soon they began to close. As Mowgli fell into a deep sleep, Kaa began to coil his body around the boy.
Is the boy going? Is the boy trying to find his family?
No, he thinks his family lives in the jungle. He doesn't want to go to live with other people. He likes the animals. Suddenly, Kaa was nearly knocked completely off the branch by Shere Khan. The tiger held Kaa's head under his paw while the rest of Kaa's long body still had Mowgli on the limb. Who are you talking to up there? Asked Shere Khan. I was only talking to myself. Nice day, isn't it? Replied the snake. Don't try and change the subject. Why don't you show me what you've got hidden up there? Asked the tiger. Me? Hide something from you? I would never dream of such a thing, Kaa said. He began to uncoil himself for Shere Khan's inspection, carefully unwinding himself from Mowgli. Satisfied that Kaa didn't have Mowgli, Shere Khan walked away. Mowgli awoke and slid down the vine to escape. Kaa did not stop him. Shere Khan had frightened the snake so badly that he did not care that Mowgli was getting away.
Mm.
Mowgli ran as fast and as far as away he could. It was late afternoon when he met a flock of vultures. Hold it, lad, said one of the vultures. Look what's coming our way. What a crazy-looking bunch of bones, said another, and they all laughed. Go ahead and laugh, said Mowgli. I don't care. And he climbed up on a rock and put his head down on his knees. Hey now, kid, said one of the vultures. Wait a minute.
Wow. Who said wait a minute? But
One of the birds. You look like you haven't got a friend in the world, said another one. Said another vulture. We'll be your friends, they all said at once. The biggest vulture laid wings across Mowgli's shoulders, and they started to sing him a song about friends. The vultures began to dance around Mowgli, cheering him up. He sang with them, and before long he was feeling much better. The jungle isn't such a dangerous place after all, thought Mowgli. There are friends everywhere. Thinking of friends brought Baloo and Bagheera to mind, and Mowgli felt a pang of guilt. He hoped they weren't worrying about him, but he had little time to ponder, because suddenly a tremendous roar split the air.
oh no, I don't
Shere
know.
Khan had found the man cub at last, and he fixed his unblinking yellow eyes on Mowgli as he approached. The vultures flocked away in fear. The jungle was very quiet. Mowgli found himself face to face with his fierce enemy. Run, run, chorused the vultures as they circled above. Mowgli was very scared, but he tried not to show his fear. He summoned his courage and said, I'm not afraid of you. You must be afraid of me, said Shere Khan. Everyone is afraid of me. Well, I'm not, said Mowgli. Look, said the tiger, I will even count to 10, and you can try to get away. Then the tiger began to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get ready, Mowgli, shouted one of the vultures. Run, run quickly, said another. But Mowgli knew that was no use. Shere Khan could run faster, and if he ran, he would surely get caught. Instead, he grabbed a branch and decided to fight, even if he didn't stand much of a chance against Shere Khan. The tiger, furious to see a tiny man cub stand up to him, gave a loud roar and bared his sharp claws. The tiger crouched, ready to pounce, but as he leapt, Baloo stepped out of the bushes. The big bear jumped in front of the angry tiger and held his huge paw up in front of Shere Khan, shouting, Leave the man cub alone! Out of the way, snarled Shere Khan as he rushed by.
Whoa. Now that's a good pace.
Baloo did the only thing he could do. He grabbed the tiger by his tail. Run, Mowgli, run, Baloo yelled. Mowgli started running, the tiger so close behind he could feel his hot breath on the back of his neck. Baloo was pulled along behind the snarling tiger, and the strategy worked. It slowed down Shere Khan enough so that he couldn't catch Mowgli. The vultures flew to Mowgli's rescue and carried him off to safety. You can let go now, called one of the birds. Are you kidding? Yelled the bear. There's teeth on the other end. Suddenly, Shere Khan spun about and knocked Baloo onto his back with one powerful blow. The bear landed with a thud just as a flash of lightning lit up the jungle. Thunder boomed and another streak of lightning crashed into a nearby tree, which started to burn. Shere Khan drew back in terror and let out a roar. Fire! Squawked the vulture. It's the only thing old Stripes is afraid of. The vultures carried Mowgli over to the tree and dropped low enough for him to grab a burning branch. Then they set him lightly on the ground. Mowgli now had a weapon that could save Baloo's life. He started towards the tiger, who was about to slash Baloo with his mighty claw.
Oh.
Shere Khan turned to watch Mowgli approach. This time, man cub, you won't escape, growled the tiger, starting towards him. He didn't get far. The vultures swooped down on him. One pulled his whiskers. Stay out of my way, you mangy fools, roared Shere Khan. I'll tear you to pieces. When the enraged tiger swiped at the circling vultures, Mowgli carried out his plan. He tied the burning branch to Shere Khan's tail. A terrified scream filled the jungle as the tiger raced away, the burning branch bouncing behind him. Well, that's the last we'll see of him, croaked one of the vultures.
Miss Netherland?
Yes?
This could probably have one of a movie.
What, Caleb?
I'm still gonna do it.
Say it again, honey. Bagheera finally caught up to Baloo and Mowgli. Mowgli ran to Baloo and knelt beside him. Wake up, he said, shaking his friend. Why don't you wake up? At that moment, one eye opened and Baloo sat up, rubbing his head. The other eye was swollen shut. Boy, I really showed that tiger, said Baloo. I guess you did, Bagheera said. with a little help from this man cub.
Ah.
The next morning, they went down to the river for a drink. As they drew near, Mowgli heard singing. "What's that sound?" he asked. "I've never heard that before." "Oh, nothing," said Baloo, trying to get a little scoring going without his boxing partner Mowgli. But the man cub wasn't paying attention.
It's just five.
On the waterfront. Okay. So,
Mowgli crept closer to the singing. He parted the branches and saw a young girl coming down to the river to get some water. "Bagheera, what is that?" asked Mowgli. "Oh, it's the man village," she answered. "No, not that," said Mowgli. "I mean that." And he pointed to the girl. "I've never seen one before." "Go ahead, Mowgli," Bagheera said. "Go have a closer look."
Ah.
Mowgli has never seen another person before. Mowgli climbed into the tree, and on the tree overhead, as the little girl knelt at the water's edge, she looked at her reflection, and then at the one that surprised her. It was a boy in the tree up above. At that moment, the branch broke, and Mowgli fell into the water beside her. The girl giggled and smiled at him. Then she lifted her water jug, and Mowgli offered to help. He put it on his head as he got out of the water. In a trance, he followed her back to the village. From time to time, she stopped and smiled back at him over her shoulder.
Ah.
"It was bound to happen," Bagheera said as he and Baloo watched Mowgli walk into the man village. "Now Mowgli is where he belongs." "I guess you're right," Baloo agreed. "But I still think he'd make one swell bear." Then they went back to the jungle where they belonged.
Ah.
"I think Mowgli will stay in the man village," said Bagheera. "Yes," agreed Baloo, "but I think he would have made a great bear anyway." The two friends went back together to the jungle where they belonged, and that is where Mowgli's story ends. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed the story.
I had a favorite part. My favorite part was the pig with the lightning.
Really?
That pig.
Was that quite exciting, Caleb?
That pig was pretty cool.
Yeah. What about you,
how it
Kiara?
was.
What did you like? You don't know everything. Oh, you liked the cub, you liked the man cub.
How did you
What?
know? How did you know?
Oh, because I'm good at guessing what you're talking about. I've gotten to know you. Well, thank you for joining me for things this week. I've enjoyed seeing you guys. I hope to see you guys next week, okay? All right, bye. Have a good day.
thank you.
You're welcome. See
They'll
you.
post it. They don't know yet.
Bye. So
We won't.